Hello. Mr. McCain? Hi.
Okay, let's
Wait a
call
second.
this,
Hold on a second.
Okay.
December
All right.
meeting of the
Mike,
North
thank
Mi-
you. What did he say?
Nope. He's not coming. We don't have quorum.
He forgot.
No, no, no. He had ran into car trouble.
All right,
Oh,
good
yeah,
evening,
right.
everybody, and let's,
Call it
gonna
over.
call this December meeting of the North Miami CRA Advisory Committee meeting, to order.
Is the mic on?
Can you hear me, Danae? I got it,
No.
Okay,
okay?
a little bit more nearer to you.
Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. Let's call this meeting of the North Miami CRA Advisory Committee meeting together, December 2nd. Can we begin with roll call? Those present?
Mr. McDermott,
Present.
Ms. Cobo,
Present.
Ms. Cohen is not here. Ms. Geimer,
Here.
Mr. Gentil's not here. Dr. Joseph, Mr. McCain is not here. Mr. Reynolds,
Here.
we do not have quorum, sir.
Well, let's begin anyway with the pledge of allegiance.
The flag is behind the screen, so just imagine.
Somebody
I
can
pledge
raise the
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, being that we don't have quorum, we can proceed with any items
Action.
that need approval on the agenda, including the minutes. However, we would like to go ahead and do agenda item 1, which is the update. Turn it over to Rasha.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'm very sorry, because we don't have a quorum, we won't be able to hear your items. However, next Tuesday, December 10th at 5:30 is the CRA board meeting with the chair and the board. So, again, I apologize, we're missing 2 members who had confirmed and they're not here.
Can't
So we
even
cannot
hear
take your
him.
action, but your items will be heard at the CRA board meeting at 5:30.
Do you want us to say that, Rasha?
No, you can go if you'd like.
Okay.
All right,
Can't
so I don't
even
wanna
hear about
waste your
the
time, I know
rest.
some of you are traveling far,
Sorry.
thank you. So, yes, yeah,
Have a good evening.
thank you, thank you. All right, so, one of our challenges, as you can see, is quorum. We have been getting some new appointments and, like Dr. Joseph, but we're short 3 more appointments. So if you have any recommendations, we're missing 1 resident, for District 3 and 2 businesses. 1 business for District 4, doesn't have to be within District 4, and 1 business at large, so we can have a full quorum. So anyway, our last meeting was April 1st. It was so funny when I looked at the minutes, I'm like, oh my God, it's been that long since we've seen each other. So since then, we had, the election in May. We didn't have any items in June. In July, we approved several grants. One of them is Real Estate Runway. It was a business attraction grant on Northwest 7th Avenue. It's a little strip, and it's a real estate office. They own, actually the father owns the building, and the daughter has a real estate office there. So we gave them a business attraction grant. Captain Jim's applied and got a mural grant. I think you see it. They've already started it. It looks very nice. I think it's like a submarine or underwater thing. It's very cute. The North Miami Foundation for Senior Citizens got a grant for the new roof and impact windows. By then, the state legislation has finally passed some legislation on the CRA. One of the important requirements is 4 hours of ethics training for advisory members, board members, and even staff. So as of January, I will need to make sure that you are all in compliance with that, and we're gonna schedule some sessions. If you get ethics training through your professional work, through continued, like if you're an attorney, CPA, doctors too get ethics training? No? Okay, so CPAs and attorneys, they would get it. They would just have to show me, like Holly would have to show me that she did her ethics
Yeah.
training, but they
Didn't
want 4 hours.
Didn't we have a couple months ago?
In May, right after the election.
Right, we had it.
So, but it starts January. as
So
of
we gotta-
January 2020.
So we gotta do it again.
Yeah. And what they did was like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
They
that
want
was
4 hours. Yes, it's like 4 hours. So it has to be 2 sessions. And I spoke with the city clerk's office, and she's gonna help us coordinate with Miami-Dade County Ethics, and also see if the state, if they have something that we can work off of. The other item in the state legislation that was important was the new reporting requirements, and that's one of the reasons why myself, staff from finance and budget, and even our CRA attorney went to the conference this year in October. It was pretty much very staff heavy because we wanted to know about their legislation and the requirements, the reporting requirements. So the state legislature, for instance, is asking us to provide numbers from like when we were created in 2004 and show the accumulated increase of the increment. Also show how each project is helping within the plan that we adopted in 2016, and so on and so forth. So it was just learning on the reporting requirements. That was part of legislation. In September, we did a budget amendment, and that's because the budget that we had approved had a low carryover number, whereas the carryover number was much higher by $3 million. And that's because we have these capital projects and purchase orders for past grantees that we're carrying forward. So we had to carry it over and amend the budget. Like for instance, the street sweeper that we bought, that was $281,000. The plaza that we did finished in this year, in the 2019 year, as opposed to the other. So all these, that's why we made the budget amendment for that. This year, the budget for 1920, which was approved, is at $11.9 million. Out of that, the mayor's focus was to find about $3 million for housing initiatives, so the CRA. And we're required to have at a minimum of 10% of our new revenues for housing anyway. So this time, we put in $2.5 million in housing initiatives, the line item, $1.5 million for the commercial grants, and the county and city TIF refund is increasing astronomically. It's 27% of our budget. And it's like $2.5 million for the county and $667,000 for the city as part of their like half of Solemia money that I'm refunding them. Before you, that we did not hear today, but it's still in the plan and the budget that was approved, was for us to hire our own PR firm. As you recall, it was in the marketing and branding that we needed to get these things done so we can actually tell a proper story and bring developers and other businesses here by having good PR and presses for the CRA. So that was one of the items that you would have heard today, but unfortunately not. 2, activate the restaurant boot camp. That was in last year's budget as well, but I hadn't been able to get that resolved. That was also on today's budget for you to review and approve. So that will be presented to the board next week, Tuesday, for them to approve. The Red Garden, so at the October meeting, the Red Garden will be an amendment to the budget because it wasn't in the original budget. But at the October meeting, the Deputy City Manager, Arthur Sori, presented a concept called the Red Garden. We're calling the site, we're not calling it Denmark anymore, we're calling it Nomi Yard. And Nomi Yard presents Red Garden. And the idea is for us, we saw it work in Wynwood Yard. Overtime CRA has the urban. Doral is building theirs, Doral Yard, and an open air, and there's also like the wharf, which is by the Miami River. So the concept is we have this open land space that the city secured from the Denmark Family Trust. They have access to this property, and we, the CRA funds, would develop that as a event space. It would have, so right now they're cleaning it up, they're clearing it up, and that's what we were talking about earlier, the activities that you see happening. The goal is to have it ready for Super Bowl, which is February 2nd, 2020, because it's in Miami for activities. But we would have like a huge staging, event space, food trucks, bathroom, large tents, and whoever the promoter is will have a liquor license, and they would operate it, and we would negotiate a deal with them for them to kind of like pay us back the investment that we put in. So this presentation was made to the CRA board last month. It was approved unanimously. We requested for that to allow us to spend no more than $500,000 to clear the property, to get all the stuff that we needed to get. And part of it has a food truck boot camp concept idea, which is helping, you know, that person that cooks so great, but she cooks from home, or she doesn't have an establishment, but she could be interested in opening up her establishment through a food truck process. So that's one of the projects that we would be doing there. So it is in your package, but again, like I said, unfortunately. So the only reason why it's here, even though it was approved, is when we did the presentation in October, but the board approved the project. So our attorney wisely suggested that we need to bring it back and have them approve it by resolution, like we always do, and that's why it's coming back on the agenda. October, we're going through our annual audit with HCT right now. Staff went to the FRA conference, like I said before. We gave 2 grants, one to Golden Brew Cafe. It's a vegan restaurant. It's a business attraction grant. It's on Northwest 7th Avenue and 122nd Street.
What's it called?
It's called Golden Brew Cafe, and it's a full-on, so the applicant, the chef, was a vegan food truck person.
Is that where that pizza place used to be?
No, it's next to, it's a white building east of Northwest 7th Avenue. There's like a lash place they just opened up.
Oh, I know. Close to the gas station. And
Yeah,
Yeah, and
but
then
it's a
there's
white building and-
the window place.
yes, next to the
Oh,
window
okay.
place. There you go. Thank you.
Under the corner.
I've been.
And we also gave a rehab grant to the 17th Avenue Shopping Center. It's on 17th Avenue and 27th. It's the only actual business on 17th Avenue. It's in walking distance from Sunkist Grove. It needed a whole facelift. They have a wing place in there. I think he's bringing in a laundromat and some other businesses there, but he needed, like, the parking lot looks atrocious and things like that. So that was the grant that we provided. We also hired Romanik Sinilowski. Yeah, okay, thank you. Because she corrects me every time I say the name. So they are our architect for the Griffin Center, and through our procurement department, through the CCNA list, which means they were already pre-vetted and it's on a list. They were hired to do the Chinatown Gateway sign design for us because we need it, and also the design guidelines for the corridor. They're doing that in partnership with FIU's architectural design and their students and their Chinese students and things like that. So that's what we funded. The 2 big items that we did that was very interesting and wonderful was we funded Omega Investors, and that's what you were asking me. So that property is formerly called the Barracks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's west of W.J. Bryant, the school. So it's like 126th Street and Northeast 12th Avenue. Yeah, it's like, was it 4 acres?
Right.
At 4 blocks.
Or
Yeah,
2
it's a-
city blocks? Or
It's two
Entire
city blocks.
block, yeah.
big?
And like 2 of the buildings caught on fire and so on and so forth. So the new owners, instead of building up for now, they wanted to rehab it completely. So right now there are 2 ones, and they have a whole bunch of other issues, like their electrical is completely outdated. The county is like, no, it's gotta be completely revamped.
It's
So-
gonna have to be gutted.
Completely.
Absolutely.
So it's gonna be, he's converting them into 2-bedroom, 2 baths, completely gutted, and he's gonna have like a soccer, cause it's big in the square footage, but they're all 2-story buildings.
Mhm.
They're gonna have their own gardens, terraces, I should say. He has a community garden. He has, soccer and volleyball. He has other amenities that he's putting in, there. And so he asked for a grant. So it's called Nomi Village now. I'm sorry, that the 4 was a typo. He calls it's Nomi Village now, and he asked for $1.2 million. He estimated it would be 2.6 million to do it, but that's his estimate, so that's what he applied for. It would be over 2 years, so half this year, half next year, and that pot of money would come out of the housing initiative line item, the $2.5 million. So out of that, it's 48 units. 4 of them are affordable housing, meaning very low income, so the rent will be like $1,200 a month. And then the rest of them, the 42, are workforce housing rentals. I think he's also trying to work with Johnson & Wales to make it like have some students in there and so on and so forth. And lastly, I don't have it here, I don't know how, in my printout, we did award a grant to, it's called Golden Hill Apartments, Northeast 6th Avenue and 123rd Street, the empty lot where they used to have all the political signs. So we awarded them a grant. It's gonna be a 5-story apartment, rentals, 20 units, amenities on the first floor. They asked for infrastructure grant of $600,000, and they asked for, and our guidelines allows for it, for a TIF, which is a tax increment rebate on their taxes. So it's 50% of their future taxes for the next, I think, 20 years. And we did that.
20 apartments and 5 stories?
5 stories, yeah. Have you seen the size of the lot?
Big, no.
It's gonna be nice. Oh yeah, they have, it's like 3 bedroom, 2 baths, 2 2s. I don't think they have any 1-1s in
Is
there.
it gonna be, market rate?
Well, they will be, except we have 4 units in there that are affordable.
Affordable. And the
Also,
rest are-
affordable rentals.
And the rest are market rate?
Yes, and actually they're focusing it on student housing, so I don't know if you wanna call it really market rate, but their primary target is, student housing.
Really?
Yeah, and the owners are, these Chinese, developers that acquired the property a few years ago. They've already gone through, I think, the planning commission and so on, so they've already gotten their approval for their units and all that stuff. So now they're in the county going through the permitting process.
This is new construction, right?
Brand new construction,
Northeast
Wow,
Sixth, I'm still trying to-
amazing.
Northeast 6th Avenue, so,
Amazing, it's something besides
you
the
see,
storage unit. but-
it's like the exit of North Miami, so
Or
on
99
Northeast
cent
6th Avenue,
store.
123rd, when you're going towards
Oh,
Biscayne
Those
Park,
go
Oh,
fast.
that
lot.
empty lot.
Across from where Stats used to be.
Yes,
Medical.
yes, yeah, that was Max
Okay, I got you
Wolf's
now.
place, now
Yeah.
it's for sale. So that empty lot
Okay,
is
I
the
got
one that they're doing. So, I gave you, I know it's, any questions on,
I have just a question in general. Whatever happened to those breweries? that were supposed
they're 70% done.
Well, it only took them 5 years.
Durham,
Yeah.
yeah,
Durham,
yeah.
really?
It has a lot to do with, from my understanding, oh, that's another piece of news I can share with you. But it has to do with, you're converting a warehouse into a brewery.
Right.
And there's a lot of requirements, even if you were to convert it from a warehouse to a restaurant, from Durham's perspective, but dealing with breweries, with grease traps and a whole bunch of other regulations.
It's very complicated.
It is complicated, and they get a lot of, like, comments and additional requirements that they have to do. So, but like the plumbing is done, they've already passed several inspections and so on. The contractor for one of them actually called today, to give us an update, and things like that. They're gonna be opening up fairly soon, but the issue is, and I understand it, was just dealing with the Durham requirements. Discarga already got their barrels delivered from China. What's his name? Lost City just put in a deposit, a $50,000 deposit to order his barrels from China. And another piece of good news, I met with them, but we have nothing in writing yet. But the second largest brewing company in Wynwood signed a lease to take over the theater. They signed a 20-year lease. I got a notice from
Miami one?
the Miami Way Theater. So I got a notice from the property
Wow,
owner
wow.
and the brewing company. It's called Wakefield Brewery. They actually have Wakefield Fest, which is like a huge thing that they do. And they were looking to expand. So that theater that we gave them a grant,
Right.
Yeah.
is like it's like 9,000 square feet. The property owner had already gutted it, they removed the mezzanine, they removed everything. So it's like a blank space
So they gotta build it out,
completely.
yeah.
So I met with them, they're gonna do the brewery, a tap room, and a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So, again, I walked them through the process, but now it's just waiting for them to apply.
Are they gonna keep the outside design of the theater?
Yes, they are. That's part of the grant, because we provided the grant to the property owner for the marquee and all that stuff. So it is gonna have to stay,
Good.
at least for 5 years.
Well, no, that'd be nice. Yeah.
And lastly, we couldn't hear them, but Marlon Lift's place, you can see it's pretty much 90% done,
Right,
right? She has 3 restaurants. We're moving, and one of them was an applicant.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is a designer hot dog restaurant or shop. And then another one, she just emailed me, they're also moving in from Wynwood. So I don't wanna like jinx it or anything, cause,
Where is it at?
right now, it's in Wynwood.
No.
Oh, Marlin, remember the Chinese restaurant that caught fire across from Taco Bell?
yeah, right down-
125th
right
Street.
down the
Yeah,
street,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And Northeast 7th Avenue, and we gave them a grant not only to help them renovate it, but to put a grease trap for the whole
Yeah.
space
Where
to
Tommy-
help to
yeah,
get restaurants,
Where Tommy's shoe place used to be.
used to be.
Okay.
So because we gave her the grant to put in a grease trap for the whole property, she could rent it to one person or split it into 5. So the applicant for tonight actually took 2 bays. He's gonna have beer and wine. He
not the
owns
croissant
Flavorish. Flavorish Bakery is on Biscayne and 73rd Street, across the street from Smiling Pets. And they do wonderful breakfast, lunch, and things. So this is their second house. This is gonna be their second one. That's about it. I mean, staff is working very diligently. Gail is working on so many grant applications, it's not even funny. And also monitoring the past ones, monitoring, reimbursement packages and things like that. So we're kept very busy. Like I said, it's unfortunate that we haven't had quorum
I know.
for us to be able to have the meetings and for you to take action on it. So I will bring it up to the board again next week to see. But I did get 7 confirmation. Holly had said she would be here. She had emailed everybody, and Mr. McCain also, because I did his orientation on Wednesday. So I apologize for that.
What 3 restaurants are gonna go in there again?
Croissant House by Flavorish. It's a hot dog place. They haven't formally applied yet.
Right.
So I know they signed a lease, but since they haven't come to me yet, I don't know all their other stuff. And the third one, it's Mr. Cream. It's like a designer ice cream shop from Wynwood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Finally,
And
an ice cream shop.
well, yeah, but it's like you gotta make sure it's PG, not with alcohol or beer when you're ordering. It's not like a simple Carvel, Nowadays,
okay.
They
it's
do beer.
it's
with-
very trendy.
Beer with scoops of ice cream,
yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes.
I think I tried to rent to them a long time
Oh,
ago.
really?
Yeah.
So
They
yes,
weren't
you
sure-
did. Yes,
They
you
weren't
did.
sure the market was ready for them. I
Yes.
said, I guess they
So
think
it's
it
been
is
working
now.
for them.
beer float, yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
working for them in Wynwood,
Right,
but
right, right.
now they want to expand. So we connected them with Marlon, and she emailed this morning that they're getting ready to sign the lease. I think what else? Oh, lastly, we did have like Tishu. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yes.
Tishu sold their building, so unfortunately it was within the 5-year maintenance, so they had to reimburse us the grant, which was like $38,000, thanks to our attorney, CRA attorney, who reminded them of that. And they sold it to IMC Equity, right?
Euro,
Urim.
yeah.
I do see that they have like brown paper, and I see they have like
Yeah.
posters of men up front, so I don't know what's moving in there. But Tishu moved by Captain Jim's,
Oh,
because they didn't need all that space anymore, apparently, so it was just a
I love
showroom.
that name.
What, Tishu?
Yeah.
So, and that's about it. I mean, I keep saying that. Dr. Moise, the clinic is done. They've hired the people. The grand opening will be either Thursday night, either January 9th or January 16th. As soon as it is confirmed, I will obviously send it to you so you guys can be there for the ribbon cutting. But it is gorgeous. When you look at what it was before, it was an abandoned tile and
Right.
wood flooring. And when you walk in, you're like, seriously? Yeah, you see the tile, everything. It's beautiful.
You could see the building from the expressway.
Yes, you can. You can see the
Very nice.
difference. It's very nice. So that one is complete. He's hired, because remember he had a job requirement. He had to hire some North Miami residents, at I would call it a living wage, but a better than minimum wage, and he's done that. So, he texted me, he's like, the grand opening, January 9th or January 16th, because I told him it can't be Tuesdays or Mondays. So as soon as I get that, I'll email you all so you can be there for the ribbon cutting.
Great.
Okay, anything else? And I apologize for,
Steve, do you wanna make a?
Try it again in
No,
March.
I'd like to thank Rochester for that excellent report. It's amazing everything that's been happening and the good things that are going on.
Well, I think we just have to congratulate Russia all over.
Period.
oh, no, not at all, not at all.
Listen, I think some of us have been on this board a long time, and just to see what's going on now is really,
And everything's,
From what
Yeah.
it started
it's not,
to
it's
what
not,
it is.
it's good
really-
stuff. It's not
it's good stuff,
BS
exactly.
stuff, you
So
know?
we
Right.
congratulate you and your
Totally.
staff and
Thank you.
that kind of thing. And we have one more congratulations. Our own attorney, Mr. Zelkowitz, received an award from the Daily Business Review as a trendsetter, is that?
Trailblazer.
Trailblazer. Even better than a trendsetter, he's a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was for my work for community development agencies in particular,
Right.
and helping with economic development and public-private partnerships.
We didn't mention that.
So we want to congratulate you, Steve. You've been certainly a great asset and a great captain of the ship sometimes.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You know,
Okay.
so, okay, being that there's nothing else, I guess.
I moved, oh, no, we can't move. We're just
Yeah.
finished.
Okay, so.
Goodbye.
We're finished.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Goodbye.
That was a good break.
Thank you,
Thanks,
thank
everybody, for
you.
coming anyway.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
holiday. We'll see you in March, maybe.
Yes. Not March.
Yeah,
Try-
we'll
I'm
take-
gonna like